Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Folks, we have a breaking news story, and I thought that we would go right to this since with all of the turmoil happening in the world right now, it was bound to catch up to just regular people trying to enjoy themselves. And you see this little thumbnail on the screen. Taylor Swift's Vienna concerts are canceled after a terror plot, and 2 arrests were made in connection with it. And according to the New York Times, Taylor Swift's Vienna concerts are canceled after terror plot arrests. 3 shows were called off after Austrian officials arrested 2 men and accused them of plotting a terrorist attack and said that one had been focused on her upcoming stadium concerts. Taylor Swift's Eras tour had been canceled in Austria after officials announced the arrest of 2 men whom they accused of plotting a terrorist attack in Vienna, with one of them focusing on several stadium shows the singer had planned for this week. An Austrian concert promoter, Barracuda Music, announced the cancellation of the 3 shows in a post on Instagram. Nearly 200,000 people had been expected to attend the Vienna concerts, which were to start on Thursday. Officials in Austria said at a news conference on Wednesday that 2 men had been arrested and accused of plotting a terrorist attack. One of them, a 19-year-old Austrian citizen, had recently pledged allegiance to the Islamic State online and had focused on the Eras tour as a potential target, said Franz Ruf, an Austrian public security official. Law enforcement carried out a raid at the man's home in Turnitz, a town south of Vienna, and found chemical substances, Mr. Ruff said, noting that the officials sent a bomb squad to his home. Both suspects had become radicalized on the internet and had taken concrete preparatory actions for a terrorist attack. So this is not just someone's imagination. This is something that is really going to happen. So how are we to feel as would-be concert goers, would-be parents of concert goers? How can we protect them in 2024 with all of this turmoil going on in the world, all of these potential terrorist acts, all of these potential would-be bombers or radicalized individuals from the internet? How do we have confidence that we're going to be safe at outdoor activities, at activities where large groups of people are gathered? How can we be assured that we're going to be safe? And the truth is, we cannot be. We cannot be assured that anyone can assure our safety. But we must become part of the security. And how do we do that? Well, the famous chant after 9/11 in New York City was, if you see something, say something. I know that sounds weak after 2 young people were radicalized by a group called ISIS-K. And this is one of the 2 radicalized terrorists you see in this thumbnail on the screen. But how do we protect ourselves and others from this radical activity that we're seeing more and more often in this world? And as I said, we have to become part of the security and become part of our brother's keeper by when we see any nefarious activity, such as someone talking crazy, someone doing things to facilitate a terrorist attack, we must report it to the authorities. So folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your neighbors, hold on to your wife, your kids, your service dog. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped in 10th and Ranch, Michael Weiser.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger. You know, folks, during my whole police career, my 27-year police career, I was always involved in large crowds, big crowds, being in the midst of crowds and watching the conduct of people in crowds to see if I could read something that was about to happen before it happened. And that's the nature of police work. That's the nature of security. Security simply means to protect assets and reduce risk. And the biggest asset on this entire earth are human beings. And that is security's number one job, is to protect assets and reduce risks. Well, how do we do that? How do we reduce risks? Well, in these large concerts, layered security, it's called. You hear of the word perimeter, different perimeters and higher levels of security within the perimeters. Obviously, searching people as they go in, not allowing things like backpacks. I think that's a given these days. When bombs would be put into backpacks, I think they had to be banned, especially in large outdoor activities. How else? Well, how about facial recognition? That's been very successful in Europe in identifying hooligans at soccer games. We need that type of protection and get the civil libertarians and the people that would ban things like facial recognition, have them go to a terrorist attack after a bomb has gone off and see how they feel after that. All right. CNN just recently reported on this. I'm going to play a little bit of CNN's and then some of the other breaking news stations as to what this means and where do we go? How do we go forward from this?
Continuing to follow breaking news in our world lead, 3 upcoming Taylor Swift concerts in Vienna, Austria have been canceled after Austrian authorities arrested 2 suspects who they say had plans to carry out a terrorist attack at the concert site. That's according to the promoter for the show. So let's bring in CNN security correspondent, former FBI counterterrorism agent Josh Campbell, as well as CNN senior national security analyst Julia Kayyem. Josh, what do we know about these 2 suspects who were arrested and what kind of attack they were allegedly planning?
Yeah, Jake. So this reporting comes from our colleague Zahid Mahmood in London. Essentially, what police are saying is that these 2 individuals were arrested in connection with an alleged terror plot. Singer Taylor Swift obviously has her large-scale touring events that were scheduled to take place. 3 of those concerts have been canceled due to this potential threat. What we're learning from authorities is that one of these suspects is a 19-year-old man that authorities believe was radicalized online and it pledged some type of allegiance to the so-called Islamic State. And of course, all of us who've covered these terrorism cases over the last, decade, 2 decades know that this is the playbook that these terror groups often go to, is trying to find people online. It's much more difficult, much more risky for them to gather operatives to send places, a lot easier for them to try to use the internet to try to radicalize people. It looks as though, at least according to police, that is what is happening here. And finally, as we look at a concert venue, obviously that has itself a potential symbolic type of attribute to it. We've seen in the past that there have been large-scale concerts in Europe that were attacked. There was obviously back in May of 2017, a bombing at a concert where singer Ariana Grande was performing. Obviously in 2015 in Paris, there were a number of events there, including the stadium that was attacked as well. And so anytime you have people that are gathering in these large-scale venues, that could be a potential terrorist threat. And then finally, it's worth noting that we've seen at many concerts, including with Taylor Swift, that you can actually protect the inside. You can send people through metal detectors and the like, but these concerts often have large gatherings outside as well. So a lot of risk there, especially when you have a potential plot underway. Here, the concert promoter opting to cancel all of these concerts, Jake.
And Juliet, more than 50,000 people were expected to attend Swift's shows each night in Vienna. How do authorities manage to keep events at this scale safe?
So generally, it's just the typical layer defense. We always like a specific place, a specific time, because it is a way that you can then sort of layer your resources, whether it's sort of.
She's talking about layered security. And what that specifically means is different levels of security. Obviously, at the entrance, you're going to have certain level of security. You're going to check. They're going to have metal detectors. Some places they're gonna give you a pat down, make sure you're not bringing anything in that you shouldn't be bringing in. And once they use a turnstile or some type of system to slow the crowd down as it enters the location, so they can do these security checks. Obviously, video. Some of these concerts may have drones, may have surveillance drones, canines that can sniff out bomb-making materials. This is the world we live in. We've all accepted this type of security after 9/11. And, it goes every time you fly in a plane, you're subject to this. So really, if you want to go to one of these big events, you have to subject yourself to this level of scrutiny, this level of security. And she spoke about the layers of security. The second perimeter will be perhaps dogs, canines, fences, other areas where they want to keep you out up until the closest in a venue like this, the stage. Obviously, they have to protect the artist and they have to protect the people around the stage. So these are all different levels of security. And it's known as layered security. And it's nothing new. It's been a mainstay of security. But however, now we need to be even smarter because we need another level of security that they haven't had to talk about in the past, and that's intelligence. And obviously, that's what they had with this because they discovered these two would-be terrorists prior to them doing the dirty deed. Patricia from the chat, I just watched the Austrian news. They are searching for 3 more suspects. The 2 arrested men are only 17 and 19 years old. Patricia, thank you for that bit of information. And the thing is, 17 and 19-year-olds, they can do just as much damage as a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old. Don't let that throw it. They've been radicalized. They've been radicalized on the internet. Just think of that. That's a dangerous thing also. So now our security has to extend to the internet. Cyber security experts to know where the radicals are trying to radicalize young youth to do these horrific activities, would-be terrorist attacks.
Surveillance on the outside, metal detectors on your way in, police officers, drones. Just think of sort of your regular mega event planning. As you know, I was just at the Olympics. It's the same thing. You just got like lots and lots of capacity. So I want to tell you sort of my, having been in this field, 2 things happened, or 2 things went into the calculation of why they decided to cancel. Either the Taylor Swift people were not getting enough information from public authorities and law enforcement officials to feel satisfied that not only the crowd was protected, but certainly Taylor Swift was protected. Or they were told information and it was scary enough that they decided we're just going to sort of let things subside for a little bit. We certainly don't know the nature of the planning, how far along it was. Was it a bunch of guys just talking and trying to collect things, or was it very serious? But for her to cancel and all the rippling effects that has throughout, basically, let's just say the economy, right? Just how big she is now means that they did not feel satisfied for either the crowd or the VIP, Taylor Swift.
Pretty chilling.
Just think that. Well, where do we go from here? Do we cancel every outdoor activity? Do we cancel every Taylor Swift concert in the future? Or are we going to learn a way to secure it? Or are we going to give in to the terrorists or the would-be terrorists? And something, I realize 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds are what we would consider youth or kids, maybe even. But once they commit an adult act, they're adults. Once they decide to try to kill people with a bomb or some other instrument of destruction, to me and in my mind, they are no longer kids. They just graduated to be adults because they made that decision to take people's lives, the most egregious conduct any human being can take against another. And because Sherry Murray from the chat, how terrorists just pick and choose from a hat who are their next victims. Well, they may not be the ones to pick, the ones who are radicalized. They may have the site picked for them by the people and persons who've radicalized them. Lizzie Fox in the chat. It's so incredibly scary. I would not want to be a famous person, politician, or police officer in today's world. How about just being a normal human being? We are all threatened by this. Rebecca Morales, why are they not posting up the tour dates? Like I said, these have to be published because of security positions too. Rebecca, they just canceled 3 dates in Austria. So, Patricia, there were several law enforcement Secret Service involved. Kathleen Breeding, by the way, I love your channel. Well, thank you so much. I tried to bring this to you right away. As soon as I got wind of it, I wanted to cover this because it's so important. And, you know, our kids are so important. And I know that kids love Taylor Swift. And would you feel safe allowing now, what you know now, in this current situation, of allowing your child to go to a Taylor Swift concert? And, you know, can we give into this? Can we surrender to this type of blackmail, this type of terrorism? And the answer is no. You know, it used to be, I remember Rudolph Giuliani after the 9/11 attacks was like, we cannot surrender to the terrorists. We have to stand up to them. And by doing that, we do that by just going about our lives. We cannot hide in a bunker somewhere. We have to go about our lives. And that's the truth. But we also have to know, Blood Nose from the chat, fascinating. Terrorism strikes young girls, singer fans. Yeah, I mean, the terrorists just want to make a splash. They want to get international recognition for the horrendous deed they were about to do. And, you know, thank God we have good intelligence, people that are monitoring, people that are listening, people that are following radical sites on the internet. So yes, it's something we all have to be concerned with, yet we cannot surrender our lives to these people. Lizzie Fox, we never had to worry about this kind of thing back in the 80s. Concerts were life back then. I feel so bad for the kids of today. They aren't growing up with a sense of safety like we did. Yes. Pamela White. Pamela, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Very much appreciated. And I think many of us, Rebecca Morellis, that's not what I'm saying. They can position the security they were supposed to hire and tour dates to get them hired on to more even where they can apply. You know, I think with a lot of these concerts now that have international ramifications like Taylor Swift, they may have to bring in the big guns like the FBI and the local police, according to where the concert is held. Obviously, Austria has their own secret police, their own FBI, and this was found out before the terrorists could do any damage like they had planned to do.
National story as the biggest artist in the world, Taylor Swift, had to cancel several concerts over an alleged planned terrorist attack. I want to put up just this post here from Variety on Live Now from Fox. Says 2 men have been arrested in an ISIS-connected terrorist plot against Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna, Austria, as 3 concerts have been canceled by authorities. As they said on Wednesday, 2 suspects arrested in connection with plans for an alleged attack on that region. Swift was due to play 3 shows in Vienna between Thursday, August 8th and Saturday, August 10th. Those dates were canceled, according to the organizer, the promoter of those concerts in Austria, saying in a statement, with confirmation from government officials of a planned terrorist attack, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 scheduled shows for everyone's safety. Let's bring in right now, for more understanding, TMZ executive producer Michael Babcock. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And Taylor Swift, the biggest star on the globe, had to have a canceled concert. What do we make of these developments? And this has to be a serious allegation for them to pull the plug on a concert, doesn't it?
Hey, Andy, thanks for having me. You're absolutely right. And we were just a day away from these concerts happening. Quite literally, police in Vienna made an arrest today the concerts were scheduled for tomorrow and the 2 days afterwards. And this is a massive arena. I mean, you're talking of upwards, 60, 70, perhaps even more people each night, nearly 200,000 people over the course of the 3 nights. And for them to cancel it, it just shows you how real that police in Austria believe that this threat is. Now, there was a 19-year-old man that was arrested today. Police raided his home. They said that he had become radicalized online and had just last month, Andy, in July, pledged allegiance to ISIS. And now here we are again, just weeks later, and seemingly there was a plot, and it's not exactly clear what the plan was here, but there was some sort of terrorism plot. Police believe that they have minimized, the threat. But they did also allude to there still being some sort of abstract threat out there. And I think ultimately that's why they didn't make the arrest and cancel the show, or they didn't cancel the shows, rather, I should say, because there was a plot that had now sort of been snuffed out. No, they actually think there still could be a threat to those many thousands of fans.
So with these type of things, we talk about the intelligence, and obviously the Austria police, they did a great job because they found out about this plot and they arrested somebody. But now you really need to dig further and see how many people were involved in this. What are the origins of this? Follow that all the way. And Janie Garnett in the chat, I'm going to put your remarks up on the screen. I know we shouldn't surrender to the terrorists, but if I had teenagers, I would not let them go. Now the terrorists are eyeing her venues. It's just too risky. I believe in better safe than sorry. Janie Garnett 442, guess what? I agree with you. And with this hot off the press, I would be very reluctant to allow my children to go to a concert where she was targeted. But does that mean throughout the rest of her career, no one's going to go to her concerts because of this terrorist threat? Any concert or any place for that matter where large groups of people gather are potential targets for terrorists. They want to kill the most amount of people with the least amount of effort. So I think so important in the security is intelligence, is investigation, is undercovers, getting undercovers to infiltrate these radical organizations. This was given ISIS-K, which is known as Khorasan Province. ISIS-K has been rearing their ugly head in the last few years, as here's a picture of a couple of the radicals online. Threatening all kinds of terrorist attacks all over the place. And, it just was a matter of time before they threaten concerts. They look for what's known as soft targets. What is a soft target? Well, one thing that makes a target soft is the lack of security. When they see a lack of security at a target, large audience, outside, not the security's not much, that's what they choose, because they want to be able to attack it and also get away with it. So how do we harden the target? That's another security term. Harden the target. All the ways that woman from CNN was talking about. Metal detectors, pat downs at the entrance, banning backpacks from coming into any facility, canines, dogs, bomb sniffing dogs. You need to have them. Drones, right? People that are trained to look for aberrant behavior, people that are acting suspiciously. What does that mean? Well, people are trained in how to spot that. Sometimes when someone's got a bomb strapped to them, they will act in a specific way that a normal human being doesn't act. So we need to have trained security experts, specialists at these concerts. It's a shame that we live in this world that is like this. It really is a shame. Melanie Daniels from the chat. My daughter is in Vienna now, and I was going to attend tomorrow. I thank the Austrian authorities for thwarting what could have been so devastating. Isn't it a shame that we have to think like this? Becky Henschel, please remember what happened here in the UK at the Ariana Grande concert, where many people lost their lives. It's not worth the risk to go ahead with these concerts. Becky Henschel, look, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree, but we have to be allowed to proceed and to live our lives. And Minnie from the chat, do you know if the information was shared from another country like USA? I don't know the inside information. This is relatively breaking news. It is breaking news. So the investigation is surely not out there yet. Chris, who badass is after women and children, just keep that in your mind. That is in my mind. And any concert. Carol Grayston, thank you so much for the £5 super sticker. Robert, all those innocent children blown up by terrorists at the Ariana Grande concert here in the UK. Yes, and you know, folks, I'm not unsympathetic to that. I'm totally sympathetic to that. So yes, it's just absolutely crazy. Pauline Buckles, nothing was going to keep me from seeing Dead and Company. Yes, you Grateful Dead fans, you're a hard group. Let me put this back from Fox, and we'll continue playing this.
Yeah, that is very interesting because, like you've mentioned, there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people going to these concerts. They were here in the United States, the Eras Tour, now abroad in Austria. And I think the international subject of the Paris Olympics going on. So there's a lot of kind of eyes and security levels threat. Can you talk about the security for Taylor Swift and some of her concerts? Because, like I said, she is the biggest artist in the world. They don't take security lightly. How secure, how tight are some of these venues that she goes to?
Incredibly tight. You know, look, we know anytime any of us now, you go to a sporting event or you go to a concert, it's different than it used to be. There is an increased measure of security now, and it's you know, tenfold almost for Taylor Swift just because of how big of a fan, big of a star that she is. And it depends on the city, it depends on the country, but you'll see metal detectors often. You'll see people wanded, pat down. So there is an increased level of security. But at the end of the day, when you've got thousands and thousands of people going into a building and converging on one area, I mean, it's impossible to fully guarantee everyone's safety. And it's clear here, despite the fact that they didn't want to do this, it's a big deal for for a city to get Taylor Swift coming, not just for one show but 3 shows. That was a big deal for the fans in Vienna, and they're obviously bummed out. All of the people are going to get refunds, but unfortunately, they're not going to see Taylor Swift. But at the end of the day, the choice was made to just make sure, even if out of an abundance of caution, make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah, everyone is safe. And I think you can just see how much she cares for her Swifties, her fans at all of these venues, just by the performance, the amount of songs that she performs. Is there anything else she can do? And maybe can you speak to maybe how, as an artist, she is connected so personally with so many fans?
Yeah, I mean, some people may have heard about this awful attack that happened in the UK just a couple of days ago, and where you had a 6, 7, and a 9-year-old child brutally murdered. And that wasn't a Taylor Swift concert, but it was a Taylor Swift themed event. And even just her reaction to that show. And I think, whether you like her music, don't like her music, or even like her personally, I think most people could agree that Taylor Swift seems to be a really good, caring person, and someone who really does care about and cherish her fans. And I would imagine that it really has to badly hurt her to know that there was a plan to hurt a lot of people at one of her shows.
Yeah.
So, yeah, folks, truly outrageous. Anyway, folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, share us with your friends and your family. And if you want to contribute to us financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels. And we also have a YouTube channel membership with, count them, 5 different levels. And we appreciate all of our fans, our friends, and everyone that subscribes to the show. And we try to cover topics like this that are breaking, topics that allow me to use some of my expertise as a 27-year NYPD veteran to comment on some of this stuff. And it's really heartbreaking that we live in a world like this where people will just, for no reason, take other people's lives. It's just absolutely crazy. So it's to recap, there was a here we go. Taylor Swift's Vienna concerts are canceled after terror plot arrests. So I think there's been 2 arrests so far, and potentially there are more people that could be part of this plot, and that is the investigative part of this. And we always want to make sure that they get all of the conspirators and punish them and hold them accountable for this. And sad that someone can be radicalized from the internet online. Just so you got to watch your kids. You got to see what they're doing online, so who they're talking to online. Just absolutely outrageous, and think of a 17 and a 19-year-old they're going to set off, and I don't know what their intentions were, but potentially for a big crowd like this, what they want to do is they want to make a splash and kill as many people as possible. And just absolutely outrageous. Let me play this from ABC News.
Vienna, Austria has been canceled after authorities say they thwarted an ISIS-inspired terror plot. Law enforcement officials say that they arrested 2 suspects, including a 19-year-old Austrian citizen who they say pledged allegiance to the leader of the Islamic State and planned to target Vienna with a focus on Swift's concerts. Now, the pop star had 3 shows in Vienna scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. ABC News foreign correspondent Maggie Rulli is live for us in London and has been tracking this. Maggie, so glad to have you with us. What more are we learning about the cancellation of these shows and this alleged terror plot here?
Hey, Kenny. Yeah, Taylor Swift announced the cancellation of her shows on social media. Her team posted a statement saying, with confirmation from government officials of a planned terrorist attack, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 scheduled shows for everyone's safety. Now, this decision came down just hours after officials say they arrested 2 suspects who they say had become radicalized online and also had come up with a very detailed attack on Taylor's concerts in Vienna. Now, police have been quite limited with the information that they're releasing. All we know right now is that one of those suspects is a 19-year-old Austrian citizen. They say had become radicalized online and in recent weeks had pledged their allegiance to the Islamic State. Now, right now, police are searching the house of one of the suspects who lived about an hour south of Vienna. We've seen chemicals being taken out of the house. They're going to be tested for explosives. And, Kata, one thing that the police are stressing right now is that both of these suspects were radicalized online. Kana?
And so, Maggie, what does this now mean for Taylor Swift fans going forward? Any thought that more concerts might get canceled here?
Yeah, right now it's still too early to tell, Canada. But I think one of the big questions that comes out of this is how do police and officials keep soft targets like this concert safe? This concert in particular in Vienna was supposed to have 65,000 people inside the stadium, another 15,000 people outside the stadium. We know her Eras tour has been breaking records across Europe. There's so many people in a confined space. And so a lingering question here is what steps are going to be taken to make sure concerts like this one and hers going forward can remain safe? Because, I imagine there are so many disappointed fans right now. We've talked a lot about how many Americans have been flying over to Europe to go see Taylor Swift in concert. I'm sure this decision was not made lightly by her team, but I think that also speaks to the level of threat that they were dealing with and the real fear surrounding some of these concerts, Kana.
So, obviously there is real threats here. The concert promoters are not going to want to, obviously, to lose money, but they're going to put the safety of A, their artist, and B, the fans of the artist before their money making. Meyer.R, it's scary because the fans that don't have tickets have been showing up outside in masses as well to listen and basically tailgate. In one of them, there were about 40,000 people in a park just out. That's incredible. And these are the type of crowds that Taylor Swift obviously draws. H. Cook, Sergeant Bill, what is the Islamic State? Islam as a religion is very peaceful, so confused. Well, they're talking in this case, the Islamic State. They're referring to ISIS-K from Khorasan province. They have been the radical Islamists that have been making the most noise lately, threatening people, threatening violence, threatening terrorist attacks, and I believe that's what they are referring to. Larry Jensen, from a law enforcement perspective, Bill is fantastic. Larry Jensen, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Again, folks, if you're new to the channel today, and if you're not, I see some new people, just hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell. It's free to subscribe to Police Off the Cuff. So, what does this mean to all of us? Does this mean that we can't go out? We can't go to concerts? Does this mean that we just have to stay in our house and surrender? No, but as they just reported, that this threat was large enough, was big enough, was believable enough that they thought the biggest precaution they could take, of course, was to cancel the concert. And that's what, in fact, they did. This is coming on the heels of a lot of worldwide upheaval. Of course, the Middle East with Israel and Hamas and Iran backing terrorist organizations. So I would think that this is one of the reasons, or many reasons, why this is taken so seriously, that we the general public, of course, have to look at this and take this so seriously. And they did, obviously, because they canceled it. They canceled 3 concerts. Now, the people of Austria, of course, are upset that Taylor Swift is sort of a phenomenon. She goes to your country, and everyone's waiting. People bought 50,000 tickets, whatever they bought, and the concert's canceled. Let's listen to CBS on this.
Zach, we have some breaking news for you. Austrian police say they have arrested 2 people suspected of planning an attack at a Taylor Swift concert in Vienna, Austria. Officials say a 19-year-old suspect made, quote, concrete preparatory acts for a terrorist attack. Swift has concerts scheduled in Vienna Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. CBS News foreign correspondent Chris Livesay is following this story for us. So, Chris, what more do we know about these suspects and what they were hoping to accomplish?
Hey, Lana. Well, according to German police, at least one of the suspects was a 19-year-old who was radicalized and joined ISIS via the internet. And when they took him into custody, they found substances of chemicals that could possibly be used to make bombs. However, that is something that they are looking into. Vienna has a track record of being something of a breeding ground, or at least it has a track record of having inspired young people to join ISIS, even go and join the Islamic State when that was a thing in the past. So unfortunately, this is nothing new. And, unfortunately, this has now scared people who are heading towards this Taylor Swift concert coming up in Vienna, 3 of them scheduled for later this week.
And we know how large these events are. Do we know anything more about why, in particular, Taylor Swift concerts were being targeted, and what measures are being taken now to make sure that people remain safe, not only at these Taylor Swift concerts, but at other large events like these?
Right. So far, the general suspicion is that the largeness of these events, as you mentioned, would indeed be the draw for being such a terror event, not just for the magnitude of the terror attack itself, but also for the publicity that somebody might gain. But this is something that police are still looking into. Police also say that attendance of these concerts scheduled for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday later this week should expect delays as they enter the concert zone, because they're going to be bomb sniffer dogs. There are going to be an increased presence of police and tactical gear, also military vehicles. They're doing everything they can to prevent a full-blown attack from taking place, Lana.
All right, Chris Livesay, thank you.
So, folks, that's the reports from everyone around, and it's not anything that we haven't heard before. However, it's very painful when it strikes the youth, that young people going to a concert. Simon Irvin, Bill, they have been moving into Europe for ages. It was only a matter of time. I think you said amount of time. I think you meant a matter of time. Patty O'Grady, everywhere you look, you can be in danger. Not the same world I was brought up in. Emily Parkinson, via the internet. Wow, do I miss the 70s and 80s? Yeah, it's, it is a dangerous world we live in. No one can deny that, and you always have to be prepared to protect yourself and to protect your loved ones. And if that means being more diligent, if that means, and I'll use this phrase again, even though you're tired of hearing it, if you see something, say something, report things that you see someone suspicious, someone you think is up to no good, let someone know, Chris, unbridled paranoia at attending a concert, absurd. Chris, you're right. You shouldn't have to live in a world like that, but these aren't, it's not paranoia. This is real. This is real threat of a terrorist attack. They canceled 3 sold-out concerts in Austria. So this is not our imagination. This is absolutely 100%. This is 100% real. Laurie Shelters, they are here in the States also with open borders. Yeah, I mean, look, it's we could go into the politics of it. I prefer not to at this point. But just for all you listeners here, protect yourself, protect your loved ones. If that means just using your head, we used to say in New York City, in the NYPD, have your head on a swivel, always be looking over your shoulder, always be protected, be prepared. This world can be a dangerous place at times. TJ, hello all, I'm late. Well, TJ, there's not much more of the show left, but thank you. Better late than never, as they say. Emily Parkinson, that's right. Watch your 6, 100%, 100%. And watch the 6 of your children and your loved ones also. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I thought I would bring you this breaking news. It's the second show I did today. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon. Have a great night, everyone, and God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.